You're good at what you do. You love it. Now it's time to get paid for your creativity. Welcome to the podcast for creative bloggers who are looking to grow an amazing blog primed for making money. Each week here, we talk about ways to increase your readership, your confidence, and your income from those who are doing just that. Creative bloggers walking the walk that I like to call blogging creatives on fire. Pivoting from a brick and mortar storefront into a six-figure online blogging business in just under 3 years, I know a thing or two about the benefits of building a solid blog and what having an engaged audience can do for you. I will be sharing ways you can break through the discouraging roadblocks that we often face as blogging creatives so that you can experience the magic that can come from an engaged six-figure following. So put it on your calendar, tune in, let's connect here every single Tuesday to become encouraged and inspired by blogging creatives on fire. If you're like most bloggers, you're always looking for ways to improve your blog and attract more readers. Am I right? Or am I right? Well, guess what? There is a new way to do just that. It is with the help of an AI writer. That is the newest, greatest craze, and I think it's here to stay. So this stands for artificial intelligence, and yes, it can help you write your blog better. I'm going to drop a link here below so that you can check out more information. I have information on several of the options out there, but I will say that Jasper.ai is the one that I use and the one that I recommend. So if you are looking for ways, like I said, to improve your blog and attract more readers, then you're going to want to check out an AI writer. I'll drop the link below for Jasper. Welcome back to the podcast. This week, it is my pleasure to introduce to you my friend, Jen Dempsey. She runs the blog Mother Time. She's been blogging on it for about 11 years now. She is in Buffalo, New York, which it's sunny today. And she's a mama of two, of course it's two, twins that are 11 and a half years old. So I'm excited. Jen, welcome to the podcast.
I am so happy to be here, Melanie. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me today. I'm so happy to chat with you today.
Yay! I'm so excited to have you. I've followed you for a while now, actually over on the Instagrams.
Yes.
And love all of your creativity. You are super dynamic. Tell us a little bit about your blogging journey, though, like how you got started and what that looks like.
I'd love to. So thank you. Well, I started blogging in 2011 when my twins, Eden and Tyler, I have a boy and a girl. They were just turning 1 year old. Prior to being a blogger, I was in the travel industry for 17 years. So I was about a year after my kids were born. And I'm like, Mama needs something to do. And at that time, I really had a passion for food blogging and sharing food. And I wanted to have an outlet being a stay-at-home mom where I could share something. And then also to eventually potentially monetize it, which I did. And I think I got into blogging just at the right time. It was just when all of the different social medias were starting to take off, especially Facebook and Pinterest. I was there like day one for Pinterest. When you still needed to get an invite. So I started blogging in 2011 and it was specifically food blogging at that time. And it was over on Blogger before even I transitioned a few years later over to WordPress. So word of advice, if you are getting into blogging, definitely start on WordPress. And don't, do the Blogger. So I started doing, just putting out food and it kind of took off. I think I was in a time frame where blogging was really, that's when you started commenting on everybody else's blogs and it was fun. And eventually it started really kind of taking off. And I'm like, wow, I'm getting a following. This is crazy. Well, how are people finding me? And then, so it just started taking off from there. So I started the food blog and then slowly got into doing some videos on YouTube, doing the food blogging as well too. But it's funny because I'm not doing food blogging now, but yet I'm still Mother Time.
How funny. Because time, just for the listeners' benefit, is spelled how?
Oh, it's Thyme. Yes. Thank
Love
you.
it. So
Yes.
there's your food reference, Mother
Yes.
Time with the HYME. Love it. So you were gaining some traction with the food blogging. And what made you pivot, when, and why?
So, I love doing food blogging and I'm so thankful for doing the food blogging because it really put me on the platform to where I was being able to monetize the blog, being able to provide a income into my family, which was kind of unexpected. I thought I was just doing it more for a hobby. You hear so often bloggers saying, "Oh, I just started it as a hobby." But then when I originally started and when I first was able to monetize it was with Blogger. And now I'm over with Mediavine. I've been with Mediavine for years now. But so it was like 2016, 2017 when I started getting the blogger burnout of just doing food because I had such a passion too of doing home stuff. And I was at the time too, well, when I first started blogging, I had a blog Mother Time, and then I had another blog called Mother Time at Home. And I tried to integrate the two so I could have like my home and DIY stuff on one and I could just have my food on the other. And it was difficult because I was just building everything on one. So in like 2016 ish, I'll say ish because it could be off a year or two. I really wanted to kind of transition and really focus on DIYs and home decor because I have such a passion there. And for quite some time, I really kind of started thinking I needed to start from ground zero and start a new blog name. And I remember many times sitting outside trying to come up with new names and try. But I spent so many years at that time growing a following that I just didn't have the heart to say, I'm going to take that away and start at ground zero. And I figured if people are with me now, they're going to pivot with me on this new journey because I still dabble in food here and there. I'll talk about it here and there. It's just not where I'm at. And thankfully, most people stayed. And that's the thing, I grew your following on MailChimp. And I was like, I can't start at zero again on everything. And it was just, but it really took a lot of time to really kind of focus on that. And, my tip for people that have also thought about transitioning their niche too is, really kind of think about it. And if it's a huge, significant change, but going from food to DIY, I didn't think was huge because also too, I built such traffic, thankful to Pinterest and to some viral posts that still keep my blog alive today. I couldn't even think about starting a new blog because it was just too hard to do. So now, I've on the blog, I have different avenues. So if you want to specifically look at the food, you're not going to have to worry about searching through that along with the DIYs and decor and stuff like that too.
I love it. So you've organized the blog now. So I would say that now it is a full lifestyle blog, is what we
Yeah.
call it, I guess. And but you started with the food, and I want to just touch on that really quickly because I don't know if a lot of people understand, but food, as far as a niche, is like number one. I just
Mhm.
learned this like last month from stats that it is number one. So if you don't know what to start with and you are brand new to blogging and you have some good recipes in you, then maybe food is a great place to start. But it gave you the traction you needed to then branch out. And I love how you're sharing with us that you stayed singular. You were just food. That is how you grew your audience. And instead of just completely jolting them out with, like, I'm changing over to DIY and I'm changing the name and I'm changing platforms and everything at once, you said, listen, I'm going to keep the name. I know we always think it's the name, but we're going to keep the name, which, by the way, THYME could be great for gardening. It could be great for just, again, nowadays, it's kind of a modern term. I think Magnolia's made it popular with like just home decor all around, but you have literally turned it into a lifestyle blog seamlessly. And I love how you said you've got like categories now for each thing. So people can search by the category. They don't have to just be bombarded by everything at once.
Right. Exactly. Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about these viral posts that just keep your blog alive. Tell us what it's about and how that works.
Well, it's funny because on Pinterest, it is still all of the food. Like posted, it was probably 2016-ish to 2017, and to this day is my viral post that keeps my blog. It was a one pot cheesy taco pasta. And my word of advice to people too, like you said, and I'll touch on that too, even if you have a different niche, and I tell this to some people too that ask for ideas or tips too, even if you are DIY or home decor or a mommy blogger or whatever your niche is, throw in a recipe in there, because it can make that's what people pin. That's what people repin. So even if you're not like, don't want to do food, once in a while, if you're looking for some content going, what am I going to post this week? Or you're working on your content schedule, throw in a recipe here and there, because it really helps push that, and make sure you got some good photos on there. Make sure you have that long photo down at the bottom that is, for Pinterest, makes Pinterest happy, because that, for me, the number one traffic for my blog to this day, even though Instagram is so successful for me, is Pinterest, believe it or not. My Pinterest is what continues to monetize my blog and to provide income into my family, which, thankfully for Pinterest is, I'm so thankful for, but it's also the food portion of my blog too, which was, started 10 years ago now, or almost 11.
Can you think of, or can you pinpoint any specific reason you feel like those couple of pins went viral?
Good question. It's so funny. And that's the thing. I've always been the type of person that I would just post something and just kind of cross my fingers and hope that people enjoyed the recipe. And I really believe that it's good photos and it's a good recipe that really make people, because to this day, it's an easy recipe. People like easy, especially for mine. I mean, people have different markets that are into different things, but it was an easy recipe, and the food and good photos too are always things that make things do well over on Pinterest, because I think Pinterest will provide that traffic, I think most for a lot of people, over to your blog. So if you are looking to do monetization onto the blog, you definitely want to make sure you have Pinterest worthy photos, making sure you have that long vertical photo too at the end. So you have that Pinterest worthy content, because Pinterest will drive that traffic and will drive those followers.
Exactly. And I have to agree wholeheartedly. I mean, I never knew how important the photography is for the blog, but it really, really can make the difference between your recipe being something that is out there already getting picked up and noticed versus, one that doesn't have great photography that just falls through the cracks.
You want people to want to make them eat that picture too. And there are a lot of, if you do WordPress, there are a lot of free recipe plugins. I use Tasty recipe plugin. It's a yearly thing, but it's just good for SEO and all that other, stuff. But, there are a lot of free recipe plugin. So if you are a WordPress blogger, definitely download that, even if you're just posting a recipe here and there. Don't type it in, make sure you're putting it in a recipe card format, because that also helps with your Google searches too.
Definitely.
So, and to this day, and I know I keep focusing back on the Pinterest, but Google also helps too. And that's one of the other avenues that comes in filters between Pinterest and Google are actually both of my top searches, because somebody may search taco pasta or pinwheels or one of those things. And that's where the traffic filters in. When I look at my analytics, it's either from Google or Pinterest.
Yes, yes. And what Jen is referring to, there's WP recipe, and then I think there is also a card that you can use on Mediavine as well.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yes. And Tasty. Is it WP Tasty? I don't know.
I believe it's there's a lot of different ones. Just if you search recipe cards too, I think Easy Recipe Maker is another one too. I believe Pure Design also designed a free one as well too. There's a lot of free ones. I went with the one that was done by Pinch of Yum. Because I've always loved their content. They've developed one too. So I definitely encourage people to do the recipes, because it can be picked up easily by Google as well as Pinterest.
And that's pinch, like pinch me, I'm Irish, of yum.
Pinch of yum, exactly.
Okay,
yeah, pinch,
okay. I was just
Irish. Yeah, PINCH of yum. Yeah.
How fun. So let me ask you, when it comes to Pinterest, how have you noticed idea pins making a difference? And have you gone back and created idea pins for any of your projects?
Now that's where I do mostly my DIY and home decor projects. I haven't really gone back into any of the food because the idea pins are so new compared to my food, which I've kind of, changed. It would be interesting for me to take some of those food ones and see how that would transition over. But now when I do those idea pins, it's mostly on the home decor and the DIYs and things like that. And they do fairly well. I find that I get most of my traffic and my significant traffic still just from repins and pins of just those vertical photos.
Yes, yes. And are you part of any groups or share groups that you feel like contribute to the success of your blog?
No. The groups that I'm in were groups that I went on to years and years ago. These are group boards that I joined years ago that I still kind of just, shoot a pin over to here and there. But I really don't have that like people over on the Pinterest where we all kind of like do. I know there's people have those groups and stuff like that. I've never really kind of gotten into those. I'm a one man band.
Gotcha. So, looking back at your journey and transitioning and everything from the food to more of a full, robust lifestyle type blog, what advice would you give yourself back at the beginning?
Good question. I think I would tell myself not to get so caught up on the content and just to be you. That's the thing. I think we sometimes as bloggers get so caught up on wanting to make sure that, and it's so important to be able to just provide content that you think people are going to like, but also too that you're enjoying to write, because that's going to come over into your content that you're sharing. So making sure that you are sharing content that you are authentic about. And I think that is just something. So being you, I mean, yeah, I do tell myself sometimes I wish maybe I chose a different name, but I think we all feel that way at this point at some time or another. But don't get too, caught up on picking the name, because people see you for you and they're going to know your name. If anything, I would think try to find, if you have a nice name flow, try to use your name, because so many people I've been seeing now, if you're just thinking about blogging or new into blogging, or if you can find your name as a www and you have a nice flowy name, use your name. A lot of people I've seen doing that. That's one thing, I've always thought about.
I agree. And of course, what do they say? A dollar short, day late, or something like that.
I always say that I've always say that 5 minutes late. Even when I'm at the store, I walk out of the store, I'm like, oh, I forgot this. I always think like things like 5 minutes after the fact. Exactly. And I think now I see all these people that are using like their names as their blogs, because you are you. And so you do you. So if you're new, you're lucky, because this is your day to hopefully if you have a nice name flow. I don't know if, like, I always think like, would JenniferDempsey.com be a nice one, or Jen Dempsey? Some people have these really pretty names that, kind of flow really nice, but I think that, if you can use your name, go for it.
I agree, because it gives you so many options. You could go off on whatever tangent you want and it still be applicable to the blog. When you niche yourself down to the your site's called best cake recipes, you literally better always provide cake and recipes. So I love the idea of keeping it open, so that niche up at first, but then spread out, had the option to spread out later.
Or see what's working for you too. You could just go into it, if you're a new blogger, going into it as you are a lifestyle blogger, and then kind of see where your content is taking off mostly. And then where you are seeing your content taking off mostly, kind of that's where you want to know that that's what your people are kind of gravitating towards, and that's what you want to produce. But yeah, don't give yourself a burnout, because that's kind of what happened to me after years of food blogging and constantly posting food. You get that burnout. So you want to make sure that you're also doing things that you enjoy doing too, or you're going to get that burnout, or you're eventually not going to be doing it anymore too. And also too, don't get discouraged. Sometimes, you're not, after you hit published on that first, second, 20th, 30th, 50th post, don't expect that, it's going to be taking off. Things take time. I've been doing this for 11 years. It's something that, I always say, yeah, I got into it at a good time, but it's something that took years to grow. I think it wasn't until when I started in 2011, I think it was more like even though I was monetizing at that point and I was bringing a little here and there, it was like 2015 to 2017 were like my peak years. And that's 5 or 6 years down the road. It wasn't like a year or two later. So don't get discouraged. Keep posting your content and people will come. But also too, think back, that content that I posted in 2015 is still content today. So even if you post it today, that might not take off until 10 years from now because that content will always stay there. And just remember, that's your blog. Nobody can touch it. You always think of all these different social media platforms. Those may change. Your blog will never change. That is your space. That is your little world. And to always just make it and then use your social media to filter people over to your blog because that will always be yours. So you can filter in a year from now. If you posted something today, you can refer people back to that.
I love that part.
When you look at social media and you look at the TikToks and the Instagram and the Reels and all of that stuff kind of just takes off for a few days. You're not referring back to it in a year from people aren't watching that a year from now. Filter that, but people always go back to those blog posts. Thanks to Pinterest and Google searches too. So always think of that. Like sometimes I think we can get so caught up on social media and wanting to post over on social media, but I've learned from that sometimes you make sure your blog is always going to be your home and that's your home base and that is your baby and you can post whatever you want over there and use that content for years and years and years down the road.
Exactly. And so tell us just really quickly, how did you pivot from the burnout? Like, I'm just curious, like, what got you out of the burnout? And did you have like a, not an editorial calendar, but a plan? Like, how did you do that?
I always did have a plan and I really was working on stuff that I knew people were enjoying. I did kind of like take a little bit of a break, I would say, where I just wasn't posting as much. I wasn't even posting on Instagram. I think the only point what I was posting was old content, reusing content over on Facebook. Again, going back to the reusing content. That's why blogging is so important because you could always go back to that content and reuse it. And I was reusing at that time. I was still mostly on Facebook. When Instagram came out, I was on Instagram. I think I started Instagram day 1, day 2. I looked back onto my archives of my Instagram and my babies were just 1 then. And now they're almost 12. So that's how long I've been on Instagram for. And so I think I took a time off and I wasn't even posting really even on Instagram. Because I knew that my heart just wasn't in it anymore. And I wanted to pivot. And that's where it went to I need to start from ground zero and do all of the name. And I said, you know what? I've taken all of these years to build my brand, to build who I am. And, I'm going to just keep it right here. And, I had some moments of like, oh, it's going to work. So I kind of slowly, I didn't just, and I'm so happy now looking back, I'm so happy. I just, I went with my gut and I just stuck with it. And, and took that little breathing time off because we all need that breathing time, whether you're burned out on the content, but it's so good for mentally to just sometimes take that time so you don't get burnt out because you want to be able to provide the best content. And if you just take a weekend, take your weekends off. If you make your content calendar, take those weekends off because you need that because with the social media and everything that can constantly keep you feeling like you need to produce and produce. If you just take those weekends off, you'll be going into Monday and producing top-notch content that people will be watching again and again. So you need that for mentally, especially as content creators.
I love that advice. That is gold. Everybody listen. Hey, push rewind and listen to this again because that is amazing. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for pouring into us. Tell us where we can find you online.
Well, thank you for having me. My blog is mothertime.com. And I'm also over on Instagram. I love sharing over there as well at Mothertime too. I'm on Facebook and the TikTok and of course Pinterest, since we talked about Pinterest too. Everything is under Mothertime too. And I was so happy to be here and to, share some of my stuff. And I hope that, people listening will, have found a little nugget of information and that they know that if they're at the beginning of their blogging journey to don't get discouraged and don't give up and keep, plugging away and keep blogging is the key too. Don't feel like you have to do just social media and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Keep it the blog.
You hit the nail on the head. It's amazing. I appreciate you. I think they got more than one little nugget. So,
oh, good. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming in and being a guest, and I appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you, Melanie.
Bye. Thank you so much, my friend, for listening to the podcast. I'm blessed every single time you come back and listen to an episode. It's especially amazing when you share it with others on social media. So be sure to follow Creatives on Fire online. Listen, if you have not already done so, I want you to go ahead and download the 5 ideas I personally used to explode my online audience growth to a 6-figure following. You can find that at creativesonfirepodcast.com. I appreciate you, and until next time, stay inspired.